film got sent to me called Mon Frère se Marie, and a small part of that film is the parents pretend to be married.
Okay.
Even though they've been divorced for the weekend of the wedding. And the film is about a bunch of other stuff, and it's a great movie. But that, I was like, wow, that's something new for an American audience, and it's sort of like a recipe for, comedy and disaster, and also I think, a lot of heart, because if this couple loved each other so much and then hated each other so much that they haven't spoken for 10 years, as part of a dramatic structure, they're going to work things out and all that. And I just saw it as a great way to kind of, there've been so many wedding movies, and I thought that was a way to do a movie like this where it's not so much about the wedding as it is about the family behind it. We called it movie camp. I mean, it was, with all these actors, you would think that it's going to be, are there going to be personalities and all this, and everyone turned out to be so nice. Like, we were so lucky that not only did we get an amazing cast, like, they're all really nice people. Diane, sometimes when I write, I cast roles in my head just because it helps, and I have no idea why. And so I wrote Ellie for Diane, and I wrote BB for Susan, and we gave it to Diane first because it's sort of the main role, and she said yes. And then once Niro came on, it turns out actors want to be in a movie with those two. I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I don't know why that is.
Yeah, and so after that, it was just like every other day, Katherine Heigl said yes, and Topher Grace once, and Robin Williams, and it was just like, what the fuck am I doing? I'd known Katie Heigl for years beforehand, so she was the only one I knew, and with the other ones, yeah, of course. I mean, and they were all, they're 4 legendary Oscar winners, and, for an actor and a director, and just a fan of them, to show up and get to watch how they work and see, like, Diane Keaton's process, which is this energetic, very fluid, but sort of always moving in character, playing with Niro, who is very laid back, very quiet, and Bob is it's almost small acting, where it's like if you're on his face, there is so much going on, but he's much more controlled and reserved. And I talk to the younger actors a lot, and like, Katherine Heigl, my favorite scene in the movie is the kitchen scene between her and her dad. And I remember talking to Katie about it afterwards, and it was, you could have heard a pin drop that whole day. And she is every bit as good as he is in that scene. And afterwards, I was showing her footage of it, and she was saying, God, I've never seen anyone do so much with just so little movement. Like a lot of actors are like gesticulate or do whatever, and Bob is just so quiet, and yet he conveys so much. And so, for me, that was just like the best school you could ever go to. Just all of these enormously successful people with all different approaches, and how they sort of came together and worked together.
With Katherine, obviously she's not the bride in this film, but she's, one of her very famous movies is a wedding movie. Mm-hmm. And the same with Robin. He's played a priest in a wedding movie before. Yeah. Did either of them sort of have trepidations or sort of nervousness about kind of repeating those roles?
It never came up once. I think, for Katie, it's a very different character. She's playing a woman, who is married and maybe is at the end of her marriage. And so, that never came up. I think Robin made one sort of joke about it, but I think this character was really different.
Right.
In that, even though he was a bit of a dandy, he's still someone who really likes being a priest. And he was there not necessarily for comedy. In a way, he's sort of one of the foils. And, because he's Robin, we found, like, a lot of the humor in that role. But he's also incredibly sincere. One of the amazing things about Robin Williams is, like, he's Robin Williams, the comic genius, but he's also, the guy from Dead Poets Society who can act circles around anyone with his eyes closed, and the vacillation from one to the other, it's like there's no line between them. So it was never really it was never an issue at all. No, one of the coolest things for me was the day the whole confessional sequence, and we actually built that in the living room of the house.
Oh, okay.
And there's Robin on one side, and then the other actors would just come in for their bit, and we had 4 cameras rolling at all times. And my rule was, let's do a couple takes of the script because it's pretty detailed and I need to make sure that we get all the plot points. And then after that, I'd just be like, do whatever you want. Go crazy. And, we'd always play around. Like, I really encourage all the actors to play because when they're this good, like, they just make me look smarter. And so Robin would just, again, we had one of the most professional crews and 4 camera guys sitting there just, like, in tears rolling down their face because they can't laugh. And to hold it in, like when he is just on one of his, rocket ship tangent, you're just like, and you just get to sit there and you're just like, where's my popcorn? Like, this is so amazing.